Good evening, everyone.
Woohoo!
Great to see you all. Thank you for joining us. Just a few words about Moral Monday, Connecticut. We are a statewide faith-based coalition of individuals and organizations founded by Bishop John Selders and Lady Pamela Selders in response to the police murder of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. We are brought together by the power of the movement for Black lives. And we're here today in front of the Connecticut Department of Labor with our friends and colleagues and partners in Recovery for All. Recovery for All is a statewide coalition of faith, labor, and community organizations calling for $3 billion in new permanent revenues in the state of Connecticut so that our state can end austerity policies, reverse the trend of stark income inequality, and finally invest in our people and our community so that we can all thrive. So this week is Holy Week in the Christian calendar, and we recall Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, a clear critique of unchecked power of earthly kings. We recall Jesus entering the temple in Jerusalem, overturning the money changers' tables, a clear critique of the materialism of his day, and a call to a moral vision for his society, one that put care, compassion, and love for the most vulnerable, love for the oppressed at its core. We recall Jesus practicing the Jewish tradition of Passover, which also happens this week. Passover, the telling of the Haggadah, the story of the liberation of the Jews from bondage in Egypt. And we recall the state-sanctioned execution of Jesus. And then finally, the miracle of resurrection. So in honor of Holy Week, Moral Monday, Connecticut is holding a Holy Week of Holy Action. This is our third day. This is our Labor Day. Wait, I got to pause for a second. This is our Labor Day. Why is this our Labor Day? Why is today, March 31st, our Labor Day? Did you know that today is the birthday of Cesar Chavez? The legendary worker rights activist, and with Dolores Huerta, founder of what eventually became the Farm Workers Union. We recall Cesar Chavez was quite explicit that his work was grounded in the social and moral teachings of his Catholic faith. That's one reason. Second reason, this year, Easter falls on April 4th, which is also the anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee, where he had gone in support of striking sanitation workers. We're also mindful for that entire year prior to King's assassination, he'd been talking about the pillars, the three pillars of racism, materialism, militarism, which he had introduced in his also April 4th, 1967 Beyond Vietnam speech. During that year, he had founded the Poor People's Campaign. He understood intimately the need for faith leaders and labor leaders to work together, and that access to good jobs for everyone is central not only to a society's economic well-being, but also to its psychological, spiritual, and moral health. So that's reason number two. Today is Labor Day. Finally, as faith leaders, we are keenly aware that workers in our state, and I'm talking about low-income workers, nursing home workers, personal care attendants, fast food and other food service workers, security workers, hotel workers, Black workers, Latinx workers, indigenous workers,
Call the roll, bro.
women workers,
Call the roll.
immigrant workers, custodians, janitors. These workers have suffered during this pandemic. These workers have lost. These workers have been exposed to the virus, and we know some of them have died. Some of them have brought it home to their families, and their family members have died. And if we weren't aware of the challenges these workers faced before the pandemic, we are certainly aware now. The crisis facing Connecticut's working people is untenable, it is unsustainable, and it is immoral. And that's why we're here. We're going to hear from some labor leaders right now to talk more about the challenges that Connecticut's workers are facing. But first, I would be remiss if I did not close these opening remarks by pointing out that our governor, Governor Ned Lamont, is not listening. He is not listening to workers and their representatives and their stories. If we want to support workers, if we want to recover from this pandemic, if we want to recover from the legacies of racism and white supremacy culture that act as a drag on our economy, we need to invest in our people. We need to invest in our communities. And if we're going to do that, friends, we need revenues. We need new revenues. The state is getting a lot of money from the federal government, but we know that's going to plug holes, and that's going to be gone in a year. And we're going to be right back where we started. So when Governor Lamont says he is unwilling even to consider raising taxes on the state's highest earners or on their wealth, he is saying in no uncertain terms, he does not care about the plight of working people. He is thinking small when we need him to think big. He is pursuing mediocrity when we need him to pursue excellence. He is being timid when we need him to be bold. More of the same will not get us the recovery we need. As my good colleague Bishop Selders know, I could go on and on and on, but I want to bring up some folks who are partners in this effort, and I want to begin with Vice President at 1199 SEIU, Stephanie DeSouza. Come on up.
I guess it's safe to take my mask off up here, right? Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are so happy to be here today. Bishop Selders and Lady Pam are actually long friends of 1199, and we're just so happy to be here today. So we represent long-term care workers who are Black, brown, and white working class, but Black women in particular are the backbone of this workforce. And what we faced over the past year are 22 of our members who died due to coronavirus, right?
That ain't right.
However, even though we lost so many members, for some reason, their deaths have gone unnoticed. They are invisible. And what we think is murder when nursing home workers are forced to work in trash bags to protect themselves, in trash bags, while other administrators are walking the floors with hazmat suits, that is murder. When workers are forced to work without proper PPE throughout the months of March, April, May, June, even through July, without proper PPE, that is murder. Yet the governor has set zero in the budget for these workers, yet the governor has not recognized these workers. As a racial justice organization, we're not going to sit back. We are going to stand up and fight back. I want to invite everyone to an event we're having on April 8th, where the long-term care workers, group home workers, nursing home workers, home care workers are going to be fighting the state and taking civil disobedience at the DDS office at 4 p.m. on April the 8th, because as a racial justice organization, we cannot take this anymore. We deserve to be heard, and our lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next, I want to call up Rochelle Palacci from 32.
BJ!
32!
BJ!
32!
BJ!
32?
BJ!
32?
BJ!
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. My name is Rochelle Palacci, Vice President of 32 VJ SEIU and the head of the union here in Connecticut. Over 5,000 members were cleaning and protecting all the major office buildings and insurance headquarters here in downtown Hartford, as well as Stamford, Bridgeport, Danbury, New Haven,
cities, towns, all across the state. I'm happy to be here with Bishop Selders, the Moral Monday CT team, Lady Selders, Bishop Reverend Pollock, and everyone that's here from Recovery for All. Standing as a woman of faith, standing with leaders of all different faiths and denominations in front of our state labor department in the middle of Holy Week, which this year happens to fall on the birthday, as was said before, of Cesar Chavez. Taking this off. So, I'm also happy to be here as the leader of one of the most racially and ethnically diverse unions in the country, proudly so, a union of essential workers. I cannot think of a better way to express the importance of today than to quote President Barack Obama when he proclaimed this day a federal commemorative holiday in 2014. And he said, as farm workers and laborers across America continue to struggle for fair treatment and fair wages, we find strength in what Cesar Chavez accomplished so many years ago. And we should honor him for what he's taught us about making America a stronger, a more just, and more prosperous nation. Is it time for that kind of action and determination right now? One more thing Cesar taught us through his long fight for farm workers' rights was perseverance. How to measure our steps on the long road to justice. It's also a lesson in the New Testament when Paul writes to the Galatians, and let us not grow weary, this is my favorite scripture, of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. That is why we now are seeing in our fight for better working conditions for 1,000 essential workers at McDonald's, Subway, Dunkin' Donuts, and all the concessions in the service plazas across the Connecticut interstate. Most of these men and women are people of color and immigrants, like the workers that Chavez organized years ago, like members like myself, members that are here today. For years, decades even, these workers have suffered in silence. But in 2019, they began to speak out. And many of you have joined them in this fight. Many of you have joined them in this fight. By law, they should be earning the standard wage set here by the Department of Labor. By law, they should be provided with adequate PPE, like my sister talked about. They should have benefits and protection for themselves and their families in a pandemic, so that they can protect all the travelers who visit the service plazas. And they have none of these things. In the long view, they are in the second year of a fight to join a union. The pandemic has made that fight harder than before, and it has allowed management to fight back even dirtier. Nevertheless, I'm proud to say that we are beginning to reap the rewards of this good fight. Thanks to the Department of Labor's investigations, one of the largest employers in the service plaza, McDonald's owner, George Mitchell, has significantly raised the wages of his employees. Okay? We have also won back wages for workers who suffered a drastic decrease in their hours after publicly supporting the union. And we have a lengthy trial that I believe will bring justice to another group of brave McDonald's workers who were among the only ones to permanently lose their jobs after the initial shutdown, despite their years of service. But we need your support to finally finish this fight and get justice for these workers. You will be getting additional information about upcoming actions in the future. But for now, you can go to bit.ly/servingupjustice for more information. Your support shows how much we can accomplish if we stick together. The importance of unity, brotherly, sisterly love is another lesson demonstrated by Cesar Chavez, written in our holy books and confirmed by this historically horrible year. With that unity, I believe that we will win. 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 Thank you.
Woohoo!
All right, we got two more folks, and then Bishop Selders will bring it home. I want to bring up next Professor Jesse Turner with the AAUP University Professors. Come on, Jesse.
Thank you, everyone. I'm honored and privileged to be here. And today I wanted to highlight the plight of our adjunct faculty. Our adjunct faculty are our part-timers. They make up 70% of us. They are, when we look at the Gospel of Matthew, I believe that Jesus says in the world to come that the last shall be first. And our adjunct faculty are the ones without health care. They are the ones without sick leave. They are the ones that our Board of Regents, who in just 3 years' time had a 54% increase in their budget, while our community colleges were losing their budgets, and every one of our 4 Cs and our universities were told to cut their budgets by 5 to 15%. They had a 54% increase in their budget. So when I see wage theft and criminality, I look at that BOR, I look at the management, and I wonder that because every year the budget goes up, but every year security, satisfaction for our adjuncts. I can tell you about being an adjunct. I was an adjunct. So as a young father with my wife and my daughter, we had food stamps. Yes, we had food stamps. Yes, we used the food pantry. Yes, we saw eviction notices. That's the climb, the hill that you climb to become a full-time faculty member. It's tough. I'm gonna tell you, they are the last that should be first, and they are the forgotten ones in AAUP, and they're the forgotten ones in the 4 Cs, and they're forgotten ones all across universities across this nation, and they are the worthy ones. I can't tell you how worthy they are, and they're also the ones that we give the hardest teaching assignments to. We give them the classes that are the toughest to teach. We tell them to have office hours, but we don't give them an office. We tell them to answer phone calls, but we don't give them a phone. That's what we do to them. So they're abused, and I just can't say enough about a Board of Regents that and it's not only this governor, I'll go back to the last governor, Malloy was plotting it as well. They've been pressuring full-time faculty to teach more. Their proposal was to teach 5. We teach 4 at our schools, courses each semester. But even before that, the reason they want to do that is to lay off our most vulnerable, our most worthy, our adjunct faculty. That's why if I teach 5 courses, that means my adjuncts. Right now, my department, there are no more adjuncts. I arrived in a department that had 19 adjuncts 20 years ago. I have none. This has been a long-term plan. So I don't even know how to say it to fight. We need to know that we have a BOR. I had a former president of this university that made a statement once at a faculty meeting and said, our female faculty make 12% less than our male faculty. And I asked the question, what are we going to do about it? He said, nothing. That's what he said. So what is our BOR supposed to focus on? They're supposed to be focused on helping those adjuncts get health care, get sick leave. They're supposed to be focused 12% less. Why? It's harder to be a tenured faculty member if you're a person of color or a woman or you're a member of the LGBTQ community. We know that. And what do? They're focusing on consolidation plans. And what does that consolidation mean? That means that 54% budget will go up to 104% budget. They're crooks, they're criminals. We know who the crooks are, that are BOR. And I just want to say, if there's anybody that's worthy at our universities in the state, it's that 70% that are underpaid, disrespected, abused on every single day. And I just want to give a shout out for our adjunct faculty. And I'm a union member, I'm an active. I was going to try to retire this year, but I decided I needed to run again because one of them said, you got to speak up for us. Someone's got to speak up for us. And I'll run again, win or lose, doesn't matter. You know, I'm going to be out here anytime. I'm also a proud member of Laurel Mondays and Connecticut Black Lives Matter. Why? Because that's what we're all supposed to be doing. So I hope that when Matthew and Jesus said that the world to come was going to be the last should be first, I don't want that to be in the next world. I want it to be in this world, and I think labor can do it. And I know Cesar Chavez will have a life where labor can do it. So we can do it. Thank you. God bless you. And give a shout out to our adjuncts. They're the hardest working people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. All right, thank you, Professor. We have one final guest. I want to invite Decine Garcia to come forward. Decine is a leader with Hartford Deportation Defense, and she knows something about the reality of undocumented workers in our economy. She's going to speak to that. I'm not sure what the best way to do the mic is right now.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Estoy representando al colectivo de defensa de Hartford.
I'm representing the Hartford Deportation Defense Collective.
Me llamo Dept García.
My name is Dept Garcia.
Soy madre de dos hermosas hijas
I'm a mother of two beautiful children, daughters,
e hija de inmigrantes.
and the daughter of immigrants.
Estoy aquí en el Departamento de Trabajo para dar mi testimonio durante esta pandemia.
And I'm here in front of the Labor Department to give my testimony during this pandemic.
Esta pandemia nos ha afectado mucho
This pandemic has affected us a lot.
emocional, física, mental
Emotionally,
y sobre todo
physically,
económicamente.
and mentally, and most of all, economically.
Y no dudo que seguirá afectando por mucho
And I'm
tiempo
sure
más.
that it'll continue affecting us for a long time.
Desde que empezó la pandemia,
Since the pandemic started,
empecé contando centavo a centavo cada vez que necesitaba comprar algo.
I've been counting cent after cent every time that I needed to buy
Algunas
anything.
veces tenía que dejar algunas cosas porque el dinero no me alcanzaba.
Sometimes I couldn't get the things that I needed because my money wouldn't reach, which wasn't enough.
Pues yo tenía trabajo, pero mi esposo no, y el ingreso no era suficiente.
And I had work, but my husband didn't, and our income just wasn't enough.
Llegamos al grado de ocupar los pocos ahorros que teníamos y continuar con deudas de rendición.
We got to the point where we had to spend the little savings we had and then start incurring debt just to keep going.
Me imagino que no soy la única.
And I know that I'm not the only one.
Hay muchas familias que pasaron y siguen en la misma situación o en situaciones más duras.
And there are a lot of families that have gone through the same situation or harder situations.
Por eso he venido aquí para pedirle por favor al señor gobernador que nos apoye,
That's why I've come here to ask the governor, please, to support us.
que somos trabajadores esenciales y contribuyentes en este país.
We are essential workers in this country and we contribute in this country.
Tal vez no todos tenemos un número de seguro social,
We might not all have a social security number,
pero le explico.
but I'll explain.
El seguro social no tiene manos ni pies
Social security numbers don't have hands or feet
para meterse a los campos a sembrar o cosechar
to
vegetales,
go out in the fields and harvest vegetables.
ni tampoco lava platos o construye una casa,
And they don't have hands to wash plates or build a house
no limpia oficinas, clínicas o baños,
or to wash clinics or bathrooms or anywhere else.
Por eso le pido por favor que no nos ponga de lado y nos ayude también a nosotros.
That's why I'm asking him, please, not to push us to the side, but to help us as well.
Tenga en mente que este es un país de oportunidades para usted, nosotros y principalmente el futuro de nuestros hijos.
Remember that this is a country of opportunity for you, for us, and most of all, for the future of our children.
Señor gobernador,
Mr. Governor,
le invito esta tarde a que al recostarse en su cama, listo para descansar y empezar un nuevo mañana,
as you go to bed this evening, ready to start fresh tomorrow,
piense en lo bien que se sentirá cuando todos tengamos igualdad
think of how good you'll feel when all of us have equity
y no separemos colores o estatus legal.
and we don't separate amongst ourselves by color or legal status.
Sin más, señor gobernador, me despido con dos frases de Martin Luther King.
And without more, I will end with two quotes from Martin Luther King.
Tengo un sueño, un solo sueño, seguir soñando, soñar con libertad, justicia, igualdad y ojalá no tuviera necesidades de ti.
I have a dream, only one dream, to keep. Let me not do that thing where you go back and forth. I have a dream, one dream, keep dreaming. Dream of freedom, justice, dreaming of equality, and hopefully no longer required to dream.
Y segunda frase, la pregunta más urgente y persistente en esta vida, ¿qué estás haciendo por lo que?
And the other quote from King is, one of life's most persistent and urgent questions is, what are you doing for others?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you see how to do it, huh? Hello, everybody, and thank you all for coming. My name is John Selders. I think some of you know me. Some of you know who I am. And we've been on this journey for a little while. My mind runs back to one afternoon. I got a call. First week in my pastorate here in Connecticut. Got a call from a little short white lady from the community who was the lead organizer for a community-based organization, asking me, so what are you gonna do about it? Here are the issues in the neighborhood. Here are the issues in community. And Brett, I remember you. Yes. At the time, she didn't know me, but what she had heard, or at least she thought she could trust, is that I might be a faith leader that may not be afraid to come outside of the four walls of my church to speak truth to power outside of the church. It is, I believe, the call of those of us of faith, and I particularly represent that Jewish Palestinian. Yeah, I have to remind people, I have to remind Christians, Jesus was a Jew. He was a Jew. He was a Jew. Yeah, I know, but that's okay. Jewish Palestinian called Jesus, on his way to his inevitable death, state sanctioned, stopped off at the church house and turned over tables on his Moral Monday ministry. As an example that we can talk and tell truth to power inside the house and outside the house.
Amen.
Our beloved hero, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, walked the walk and talked to talk and talked to talk and walked to walk. Found himself in Memphis because he was standing with labor, right? So, taking that as our lead and our guide, and you all have talked about Cesar Chavez, Dorothy Huerta, and those who have walked this walk before us. I'm glad to know that when labor needs me, they know they can call on me. Yeah, that's an amen moment. If I was at church, I would get at least 2 amens right there. Right, yeah. And I know when we need labor, we can call on labor. 32. I love saying that. I'm sorry. I don't mean no disrespect to 1199. 1199, I don't mean no disrespect. 4 C's, AAUP, I don't mean no disrespect. But just 32, just it makes something happen to me. I don't know. Here's my message. My message is pretty simple. I think in the richest state, in the richest country ever, anybody that wants a job should have a job. And on that job, they ought to get a living wage. On that job, they ought to get adequate health care on that job. On that job, they ought to get paid family leave on that job. Ought to be that when they need to take off, take care of the babies, need to take off because mom and them need to get to the hospital. Whatever they need to do that and not risk losing their job. And it ought to be a space and place right now that we should be celebrating the fact that we've done that instead of not celebrating and being out here in the fight for our very lives, especially during this pandemic. And I just think it's worth noting that we have responsible folk. Legislators, we coming for you. Y'all don't do the right thing, we're coming for you. Governor Lamont, Serving notice to you as well. Do the right thing, bruh, or we coming for you. Lastly, I believe we're in a moment. So I'll ask this question, and in the tradition of the black church, when a black preacher gets to going real good, there is this idea of the ebb and flow of preacher and congregation, right? So I'm gonna ask a question and then I'm gonna expect a response back. Here's my question: what time is it? Now I'm gonna give it to you. I can see y'all look. I know y'all don't mean no disrespect or anything. Y'all just don't know how this go. But let me tell you how it go. I ask the question, what time is it? And then your response is, it's right now time. All right, you got it? And you gotta say it with a little bit of bravo. You just can't say, it's right now time. So try to match me, right? Try to match me. Do the best you can. That's all I'm asking. Do the best you can. What time is it?
Right now time.
What time is it?
Right now time.
What time is it?
Right now time.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our partners in labor. Thank you to Recovery for All, Brother Pooya, Sister Norma. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm leaving out some people. The whole week we got some plans tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. If you just turn on Facebook, like you're gonna turn on Facebook to our channel. That's what you ought to be doing, turning on to More Monday CT's channel, right? 7 o'clock tomorrow night, CT Black Women are gonna host a conversation about Black women in this fight and in the struggle. Yeah. 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Friday is Good Friday for those of us who are Christians. And so we will have a traditional Stations of the Cross that we will Zoom and broadcast live. And just check out our Facebook and check out our website, moremoneyct.org. All right. To find out the deets around that. And then Friday night, we'll be in Manchester in the spot. I don't know what the address of the spot is, but if you know what the spot is, it's downtown Manchester at the corner, at the intersection of Center Street and Main Street. That's the spot. That's all I know. That's the spot. 1 year ago, Jose Soto was brutally and horribly killed by the police. So we will be in observance. And what an apropos, somber moment. That over 2,000 years ago, the founder of our tradition was killed by state-sanctioned violence. That has still continued. And so we will be there with our partners with Unitarian Universalist Society East and Power Up CT and the family of Jose Soto on Friday night, 7 o'clock at the spot in Manchester, Connecticut. Then Saturday night, back again on the same channel, More Money CT. We will be in a conversation with our friends and partners from around the country who are leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement. Sister Ashley Yates, and who is a founder and a leading organizer in the movement that propelled Black Lives Matter into national prominence. She's a leader from Ferguson. She will be with us on Saturday night, along with our daughter, our partner in faith, the Reverend L.A. McCray, who will be joining us in that conversation. And then on Sunday at 4 o'clock, back on the same back channel, right? We will be in a conversation. I'm giving you this litany because you got 4 more days to join us in conversation and action and thought and in movement, building, and work. Thank you all. God bless you. Peace. What time is it?
Right now time.
What time is it?
Right now time.
What time is it?
Right now time.
Peace.